Hi everyone, welcome to an unboxing. This is in a bit of a random place. I'm currently in the middle of a massive field. I just decided to come on a pokey walk and collect at the same time this game that I've just ordered. This is X-Wing. This is the Force Awakens, the new starter box, and I discovered this because basically one of my friends I know had it and they were buying, I can't remember what it was, but it was some box set that came with some, I think it was an Imperial bomber, and I saw it and thought, wow, it looks really cool, but it cost 20 something pounds, and I was like, bloody, that's a lot of money for two little models, and I thought, doesn't look like it would be a good idea, because I in the past have played Warhammer, which is a very kind of complicated game, but it's very, very interesting, and you paint your miniatures, and it's very, very kind of do it how you want in a way, which I love. But this one is slightly more board gamey in the sense that it comes with everything you kind of need in one little box. Although Warhammer kind of does a similar thing, it's so much more simple. There's much fewer rules. The rule book in Warhammer is about as big as this box. It's like inches thick, whereas this is just got a small little thin booklet that's very, very simple. It's very kind of nice and interesting. Plus, it's Star Wars. Star Wars. Well, it's fantastic. I love Star Wars. I've just started opening the little film thing. I'm just going to try and peel it off. Now this I bought off Amazon and it was £22. I could have bought the original, which is the Star Wars. It comes in red writing, and that is the non-Force Awakens one. And in a way, I would have preferred that. I like the fact it has the original classic characters, which I would have preferred a lot because I don't really it doesn't bring back any nostalgia when I see Poe Dameron or any of these new characters, but I do get lots of nostalgia when I see all the classic characters. So I would have preferred the original one. The only difference is that this has updated rules slightly, and it also has some new damage cards that are something you get later on in the game. Now, I've seen a lot of unboxings on YouTube of this, and only one of them actually showed everything kind of up close and personal. It never really got into much detail as to what each thing was. So I'm going to try and show you all the different pieces close up so you get a good idea of exactly what's there. Because I was wondering oh well, do you get a couple of damage tokens, or do you get like 100? Or I don't know how it works. I wanted to know exactly what was in it. And I only found one review that showed everything. So I'm going to try and show everything in the hope that will help other people. I'll put my camera down temporarily because I need to get the plastic film off it. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to go through these. These are the kind of token boards. I'm going to try not to drop any anyway because I might end up losing them, and I'd rather not if I can help it. So this one at the top has quite a few tokens. It has some of these movement ones. These are all the different movement kind of icons, so they tell you how to do the different moves. So you can do the different speeds is the number, and you can do the different types. You can do straight, you can do a turn, a slow turn, or you can do some of the other ones later on that are kind of more angled turns, like 90 degrees or 45 degrees, I think is what it is. We've also got these little numbered icons. Now, for a while I didn't really understand what these were, but it's basically so you can number your characters. So if you've got lots of TIE fighters that are all the same, you can number them, so you have TIE Fighter 1 and TIE Fighter 2, and you basically put one of these on the stand of the ship and one of them on the next to where your kind of card is for that character, so you know which ship is piloted by who, for example. There's also some shield tokens, which are these blue ones. This is a focus token. There are target locks. I think these are just so you can basically increase your chances of hitting, something like that. Try and focus for you. And there's some more of those, some more of these. These are dodge maneuvers, and there's some more of the tokens for focusing, which is basically allows you to have some option later on in the game. Rather than miss, you could turn a potential miss into a hit if you roll a dice and it has this eye token. Now these are the different kind of, I don't know what you call them exactly, they're the little kind of specification and kind of things you attach to the base of the ship, so they're kind of ship bases, although there's a plastic piece that they plug into, but this sits on that. And there's some for the X-Wings, and 6 for the TIE Fighters. Now I believe these are double-sided. Yes, they are. So you've got 3 of each. You've got quite a lot of different types of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 different TIE Fighters, and 1, 2, and there's two of each of those. So there's 2 Omega Aces, for example, and 2 Epsilon Leaders, 2 Zeta Aces, 2 Omega Squadron Pilots, 2 Zeta Squadron Pilots, and 2 Epsilon Squadron Pilots. Now there's also this, which I have no idea what it is. It says Squadmate 0. I'm not really sure what that is. I'm sure that's probably some mission token or something that's going to be used in a mission. There's these things at the top. Now, they tell you what ship these are for. So there's the 2 TIE Fighters in the box, and there's the X-Wing, the T-70 X-Wing. And they come with these 2 pieces. And if I flip it over, you can see this one has a little wedge taken out of it, and the wedge lets you select one of these move options, and you put that basically face down on the board, and that's locking in what maneuver you want that character to do. And then eventually, you get around to doing all the movement, you turn them over to reveal what move you're doing. It looks like this has more of the maneuver thing, so these are all in 90-degree turns, and it also has some of these kind of, I'm not sure what they're called yet, but there's some form of kind of turn that flips you back on yourself a bit. There's more of these focus tokens. There's 2 more evade tokens. I think these are critical hit tokens. These are where if you get a critical hit that has an ongoing effect, you can use this so it reminds you that that has an ongoing effect. There's a few of these asteroids, and I think there's quite a few later on. There's one of these little satellite, kind of icon there, and there's another one of these critical hits. There's a lock-on, target lock, sorry. There's lots of these little things. Now, I'm not sure what these are yet. We'll try and find out. But these are little green, kind of little computer screens, is what it looks like. Yeah, they're little double-sided screens. Up here we've got some more of the numbers, and we've got a really, really long number 5 movement, which I'm assuming is for really, really fast ships. And on this last one, we've got a token which looks like an X-Wing token. Not sure what that's for. Another movement token. Some of these, I think these might be bomb markers. I think. I'm not sure though. Not really sure what they are. There's lots and lots of these shield tokens, so that makes it, I think in total we got 2 on this piece, so that's 2, and then 5 more, which gives us 7. So there's 7 shield tokens, which I believe is everything you need for these ships. Maybe some extra. So there's a really, really big asteroid, some smaller asteroids and medium ones. Another movement. Some of these more little satellite icons. And some of these which are damage tokens, I believe, if you need a token to indicate damage. So that's all the tokens. That's the bit I kind of really wanted to have a look at a bit more in depth than what I ended up getting. This is a kind of catalogue of all the other Fantasy Flight games. So you can see what other things. There's Star Wars Armada, there's X-Wing, which is what we've got. There's XCOM, Conquest, Eldritch Horror, Star Wars card game. Quite a lot of them. The Witcher, it's a Witcher game. I know one of my friends is obsessed with Witcher. Interesting that there's a Witcher adventure game. That looks very interesting. Lots of nice dice. I always like games with interesting dice like that. Game of Thrones card game. A lot of games. I didn't realise they made this many games all made by the same people. Game of Thrones board game I've played. That's an interesting one. Arkham Horror, I know one of my friends has got that. Civilization board game, Lord of the Rings card game. Talisman, I've played that quite a lot, that's really good fun. I'm actually tempted to get that, maybe, but I've got the computer version, which is quite good fun and simple. There's a lot. More Star Wars games. Lots and lots of things. There is a X-Wing catalogue, which has the A-Wing, Expansion, Interceptor, Y-Wing, TIE Advanced, and then there's a 1, 2 for the Millennium Falcon, which probably will get at some point soon because it looks fantastic. Just for the miniatures, just for the sake of getting a nice miniature of the Millennium Falcon would be quite nice. Okay, so this is a mission guide, so I'm assuming this is going to be something that says exactly about how to play some beginner missions. I'll just try and get that so you can read it. You can pause the video and read that if you want to. So these look like there's mission F1, which is an ambush, there's a raid, and it just gives you specific setup for how to play certain things. And there's another number 3, so there's 3 missions in this. And it tells you what to set up with and how to do everything. Special rules. Yeah, and this one, Rescue, this is the one that uses a spare. If you look on here, there you go, just there, you can see there's a little icon which is that random token that I wasn't sure what it was. It's back here. This token is what that one must have been for. It's for one of the missions. But yeah, it's quite a couple of missions. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot more like that you can make up. You can do whatever you want, really. So there's a nice big rulebook. It's not that big at all, actually. It's 15 pages if you count the back, which is nice. I can deal with 15 pages. It just tells you what everything is, so we can find out what everything is here. There's mission tokens here, which are little damage tokens. These are tracking tokens. That's what they're for. Squad mate token, and yeah, they are mines. They're little bomb things. Satellites, so evade, focus, so you know what everything is. There you go. We haven't got to the cards or the ships yet, but I'm just making sure I show everything properly, because before I bought this, I wished I could have found out everything about what was in the game, just so I know. It's always nice knowing exactly what you're going to get. So it explains that it's not played on a board, it's played on a 3-foot squared 3x3 surface. It says to use felt or cloth to get friction, but you can buy official play mats. More stuff about how to do combat and maneuvers, and how difficulty in maneuvers is you get different coloured turns. Some of the groups, some are red, some are green. The red ones make your pilot stressed. Green ones remove a stress token. Tells you about overlapping ships and attacking. Advanced rules like barrel rolls and evading and focusing. Combat effects, but adding dice and things. Stuff about going through obstacles. How to build a squad. So it does seem to go through basically all the rules, which is nice. And that's what you end up doing with the little ID tokens, so you know which ship's which. Cool. And complete setup. So if you want to set up a standard game, tells you how to do everything. And it says that there's a rules reference, which is this one we're going to get to in a second, which gives you a big list of all the rules. So this one I don't think I'm going to look into thoroughly because it's basically a complete in-depth, every rule explained thoroughly. So it's about 20-something, 23 pages. Explains everything slightly more in depth. So you can know every rule, because I think that was apparently a problem, is that previously you wouldn't be able to know the result of every outcome. That's weird. Just in the middle of a field and something is running around. Hello? Just expecting something to pop out. Just gonna quickly get some of these cards out and show you these cards. Okay, so there's a big selection of cards here. These are the kind of the upgrade modules. These are various different things. There's some that are just generic upgrades, some weapons. I'll show you them all a bit better here. And I believe a criticism was that there weren't many upgrades. There's only 5 upgrades here, so these are all the upgrades. Weapons guidance, wired, BB-8, probably going to be the favourite. R5X3, oh, I remember that character. Yeah. And proton torpedoes, which is, I believe, it just better attacking. And there's a damage deck. So when you get a point of damage, you basically deal this deck face down, like that. But if you get a critical hit, you turn them over, and all of these cards have something on them that does something. So some of these are direct hits, which I believe are the kind of the standard ones that are just quite a lot of damage rather than a little bit of damage, and there's a lot of these direct hits. There's other ones that mean you can't do actions except ones on damage cards. So these are basically, you don't want to turn them up. You don't want the major ones. And there's some that are really horrible. Blinded pirate, damage cockpit. Loads of these. But I believe that the new damage deck, which is this one in the blue box, which is the Force Awakens one. The new damage deck's the one that's required if you're doing any tournament play. It's also apparently slightly better and removes ones that were a bit invalid. There's a little dice pack. Now the dice pack apparently comes with one dice too short, or potentially more than that, but apparently 4 dice is what it really should come with, but it only comes with 3 of each. And these are the red ones are the attack dice. They're like attacks, the attack with a hole in it, the one in the centre, that is a critical. The ones with the eyes on both of these are focus, which basically if you've chosen a focus action, it lets you change something. One of these or more can be turned into a hit or critical hit, I believe. I'm not quite sure how that works. There's also these little things that look a little bit like wheels. Those wheel things are so you can put together the I can't remember what they're called. The things that allow you to the little wheel, these things, maneuver dials. That's what they're called. You can click those together because you need the dial that's got all the maneuvers on, and you need the piece that goes on it with a little gap. We've also got the pilots. I'll just get those out. Now, the damage ones and the upgrades are all very small cards. They seem like a bit like if you played Tokaido or anything else where you've got small little cards. They're very, very small. I'm trying to think of what I can compare it to. I have a Victorinox knife here, if that helps. They're not very big at all. However, the pilot cards are kind of full size. They're about 6 centimeters wide by about 9 or 9 centimeters maybe. But I'll go through these. There's Poe Dameron with a T-70 X-Wing. I just realised I'm sideways. That's awful. Poe Dameron with the T-70 X-Wing. There's the Blue Ace. There's the Red Squadron Veteran. I believe this is gradually getting worse in pilot skill and lower in points value. Points value is, don't drop it, points value is bottom right here. And also on the left, this is the number of attack dice you roll, the number of evade dice you roll. This is the number of hull damage you can take, and this is the number of shields. Shields completely mitigate any damage, regardless of whether it was a critical hit or not. So there's the Red Squadron Veteran, then there's the Novice, so this is the Blue Squadron Novice. There's an Omega Ace, Epsilon Leader, there is Zeta Ace, Omega Squadron Pilot, another Omega Squadron Pilot, Zeta Squadron Pilot, another Zeta Squadron Pilot, and 2 Epsilon Squadron Pilots. So you can basically have very, very low, you can have 2 very, very low skilled, TIE fighters, the first order TIE fighters, but you can't have too many of the you can't have multiples of the X-Wings because there is only one X-Wing. So right at the bottom of the board there is a long rangefinder. This is for when you're attacking, you can find out whether you're at range 1, 2 or 3. I believe 1 gives you an extra dice when you're attacking and 3 reduces it by 1. I'll just put the camera down. I end up breaking any of these models because that would be awful. Awkward to get out. Okay, there we go. So, focus wing. I'll start with the X-Wing, since that's what it's all about. That looks incredibly fragile. Very, very nice detail, however. But these pieces, the little weapons, are very, very, very bendy. They bend very easily. That's a bit worrying. I'd rather not break anything. But yeah, very, very nice paint job. Let's try and give it a nice close-up. So very, very nice. Now these have a little plug in the base. There you go. And the plug, it basically plugs into the little stems. And the stems are here in this little pack. Ignore my kind of brown, my dirty fingernails. But I've been fixing my motorbike today, so everything's covered in grease. There's also the bases over here. The bases are basically a little plastic. That's awful. The bases are definitely little plastic things with a little tube hole in the middle. And there's also the 2 slots where you can put in the identifying numbers. And the TIE fighters are really good, actually. They're slightly more robust. I'll show you those if it wants to stay upright. There you go. So they're slightly red. Where the windows are in the cockpit are slightly red, which looks quite nice. And their wings are kind of a white, very white grey with very, very dark black. There's also some little lights. Come on, focus. Do it. There you go. Very difficult to explain the colours. Basically, there's some subtle red and there's also 2 tiny orange pieces on the bottom right there that you should be able to see. And the TIE fighters are both exactly the same. And that's everything. I'll show you the bottom of the box just so you can see the bottom of the box. I have to tip everything out. Yep. So the bottom of the box isn't much, but it says what the game contents is. Summary of the game, plan your strategy, move your ships, destroy your opponent, hopefully. But yeah, so I'm sure I'll probably eventually have a couple of things on this. I'll probably end up making a custom insert because, again, this is one of those very basic ones. The cards are just loose in little bags, which I always get annoyed by. So I'll probably have a custom insert for this at some point. I may also end up playing it or doing a video tutorial or something like that because it looks really good fun. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely did. It's always fun opening things like this. And yeah, thank you very much. And if you've got any questions or want to know anything more about it, if it's anything about rules, I'm probably not the best person to ask at the moment. I'm sure eventually I'll figure everything out. But yeah, if you've got any questions about the box or anything about what you get, feel free to just drop me a question, or if you've got any other things you want to say, let me know. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, where I'll probably be doing something related to this. Probably, based on how quickly I've got obsessed with X-Wing. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.